Hello there, good evening. Welcome to Look North. Our top story tonight. Emergency services run a search operation after reports a girl has fallen into a reservoir near Halifax. We'll also have the latest live from the scene. Also this evening, a plea for change in the law for kinship carers so relatives who take on children to stop them going into care can access financial support.
You're almost put in a position where you either keep the child or you keep your job, and that just feels so unfair. I've worked 10 years to build my career and obviously build the roof that I've got over my head.
7 ultramarathons in 7 days. Kevin Sinfield announces his latest MND fundraiser in memory of his mate Rob. And BBC Springwatch comes to Longshore Estate in the Peak District for some nature spotting.
And after a cloudy start, skies brightened up quite nicely this afternoon, but there is more rain on the way. Join me for the latest forecast.
Hello, thank you for joining us this Wednesday evening. First tonight, some breaking news. Emergency services are at a reservoir near Halifax this evening after reports of a child in the water. They were called just after lunch. They're still on the scene. Our reporter Heidi Tomlinson is there for us. Heidi, what more do we know?
Well, Amy, this is Bating's Reservoir near Ripponden. As you can see, it's a really stunning scenery here. It's very popular with walkers and visitors, but unfortunately this afternoon West Yorkshire Police received a call at about 1:20. There were reports of a teenage girl that had fallen into the water. All the emergency services were at the scene, the ambulance, the fire and the police, and have started a search to look for her this afternoon, but unfortunately they haven't been able to locate her. So now they're saying they're standing down resources to make way for the underwater search teams to do their job. Now what we can see here is that there's a viaduct going over the reservoir, and there's an ambulance on the viaduct, and there's a few people in high-vis jackets. We can't see exactly what they're doing, but there's also a boat in the water that doesn't seem to be moving around at the moment. And you can tell that the reservoir's very low in levels, that there's a huge embankment area, and there's a lot of the viaduct exposed, which just goes to show that what Yorkshire Water have been saying, that the recent rain hasn't affected reservoir levels. And it is Yorkshire Water that manages this reservoir. There's a 2-mile walk around it. It's very popular with visitors. It's described as having panoramic views, but visitors are told to stick to the paths and not to swim in the water. So just to recap, that this afternoon at 1:20, West Yorkshire Police received a call to reports of a teenage girl falling into the water. They have been looking for her all afternoon, and now the underwater search team will continue looking for her, but there have been no updates as yet. Of course, there is any more information, we will have an update for you online and in BBC Look North's late bulletin at 10:30.
Indeed we will. Heidi, thank you. Next tonight, a plea to change the law to help kinship carers. They're relatives of children who might be taken into the care system if they don't step in. Now, kinship carers get very little notice and little time to make a life-changing decision. And unlike other working parents, there's currently no help from the state. According to the charity Kinship, 74% of carers are in paid work immediately before they're asked to take on the child. But 45% of them lose their jobs or careers. That's because social services insist that they spend 12 weeks bonding with the child, but there's no paid leave. Only 3% were actually able to take any paid leave at all, and that's despite 141,000 children being looked after by kinship carers. That's double the number in foster care. Well, tonight the government is being asked to change the law to help kinship carers in the same way that parents who adopt children are supported. Tom Mingle has the story of 2 women with very different experiences of kinship care.
2 women from Doncaster, Natalie and Samantha. One life-changing decision, very different outcomes.
Can you move it around?
He came to me at 7 months old due to his parents not being able to look after him, and I was the only family member that was positively assessed for him.
Like Natalie, Samantha is a kinship carer living in Doncaster. She took on her great-nephew so he didn't end up in the care system. Any parent will tell you there's no instruction manual. At least there is statutory paid leave. But for kinship carers, there's a court order and nothing.
I did ask for, reducing my hours so I could, because there's a lot of ins and outs of caring, of being a kinship carer, and I was told no, so I had to make the difficult decision to quit my job, basically, to be able to take care of him.
So we're now a couple of years on. Have you been able to get back into work?
No, not at the moment.
Her great-nephew is a fizzing dynamo of energy, lighting up the room. Samantha has no regrets, but her story encapsulates the challenge for kinship carers. A demand they set aside 12 weeks to bond with a new ward, no money for them to do so. Do you think there will be a change in the law?
There should be. I hope that they realise the importance of why paid care is why it's needed for kinship carers.
Natalie doesn't live far away from Samantha. She had a busy career when her nephew became her responsibility, but she was fortunate. Her employer gave her time off.
You're almost put in a position where you either keep the child or you keep your job, and that just feels so unfair. I've worked 10 years to build my career and obviously build the roof that I've got over my head. To be told in that moment you've got a decision to make, child or your career, ultimately. For kinship carers, they deserve support when it comes to work. They shouldn't be forced to make a decision.
The government have told us our plan for change is on the side of working parents, which is why we are making paternity leave and unpaid parental leave day one rights under the Employment Rights Bill. We are also committed to carrying out a review of the parental leave system to ensure it best supports working families.
The law does need to change to recognise kinship carers, and you wouldn't expect to give birth to a baby and then go to work the next day.
Love of their children unites Natalie and Samantha. So too does a campaign to change the law. Tom Ingle, BBC Look North, Doncaster.
Well, earlier I spoke with Sam Turner, the Kinship Charities Associate Director of Policy and Public Affairs. I started by asking him if employers were starting to recognise kinship care more in the same way that they do with maternity and adoptive leave.
We're definitely seeing more employers step up to provide kinship care leave for their kinship care employees, and that's great, and it really recognises the contribution that they're making to children's lives. But they and kinship carers alike are both telling us that we need the government to step into and deliver a right to statutory paid leave for kinship carers, just as adoptive parents would get.
So we know that 141,000 children are currently being looked after by kinship carers. That is more than foster carers, yet foster carers get a weekly allowance. Why are kinship carers not getting that?
So for many kinship carers, taking on the care of a relative or a friend's child often plunges them into poverty because they haven't expected that additional cost to come in. And it's quite right that we support and reward foster carers for the contribution they're making to children's lives. But we think that it's absolutely right that kinship carers deserve similar kind of financial support to recognise what they're doing, which is stepping up often in a crisis situation to provide that safe and loving home for a child.
So we did ask the government what support they were giving kinship carers, and in response they gave a statement talking about parental leave and paternity leave, but that still doesn't cover kinship carers, does it?
It doesn't. There is a really big opportunity coming up where the government has promised to do a review of the parental leave system, and what we're really calling for is the government to ensure that the scope of that review also includes an assessment of kinship care leave, because we think it could make a huge difference, not just to the children who are being raised in kinship care, but to their kinship carers. It could allow them to return to work when it's right for them and right for the children. But it would also be a massive benefit to the state. We think it would deliver really good economic returns, and it would also mean that we can get valuable teachers, doctors, nurses back into our schools, our hospitals and our communities too.
Sam, are you seeing more children entering the care system because their family members just cannot afford to look after them without the financial support?
So we're hearing from kinship carers every day who are really struggling, particularly because of the lack of financial and employment support that they get. And there is a real risk that without this level of support, children are more likely to re-enter the care system again, having left the care system to live with their kinship carers. And that would come with obviously devastating consequences, not just for children and their families, but also for the state. Kinship care is amazing because it delivers really good outcomes for children, but often it's a much more cost-effective option for local authorities and for the state than it would be to put children in unrelated foster care or residential care.
Sam Turner, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Let's have a look at some of the day's other news now. And a dangerous driver who hit speeds of more than 100 miles per hour in a police pursuit near York has been jailed. Kenan Joseph is 23. He's admitted failing to stop after a collision, failing to provide a specimen for analysis, driving without insurance and possessing cannabis. He was also banned from driving for 3 years and 8 months, ordered to take an extended driving test before he can get his licence back, and ordered to pay compensation of more than £1,000. A petition to stop controversial plans to build a wind farm on West Yorkshire's moorland has reached 10,000 signatures. Campaigners Stronger Together to Stop Calderdale Wind Farm say the petition is to ban wind farms on protected peatland. Calder Wind Farm Limited argues that the energy park would be capable of powering the equivalent of approximately 250,000 homes and reduce national CO2 emissions. Cancer patients being treated at Sheffield teaching hospitals are set to benefit from new radiotherapy machines. The technology is being rolled out in August to hospitals which are using outdated equipment. The government say the new machines can target tumours more precisely and are particularly effective at treating cancers in harder to treat areas such as chest, abdomen and pelvis. You are watching Wednesday's Look North, still to come on tonight's programme. The charity dogs helping to relieve exam stress for university students in York. Next tonight, no prizes who we're talking about. Kevin Sinfield has announced his latest challenge in memory of his friend and teammate Rob Burrow. The Leeds Rhinos legend will be running 7 ultramarathons this time in 7 days in 7 regions to raise money for MND charities. The challenge will take place in December to raise awareness for those living with motor neuron disease. Ollie Constable has more.
This has become less about the running and more around the connections and bringing people together, and the fundraising is massively important.
Kevin Sinfield isn't one for shying away from a challenge. He's already done 5 nationwide runs, raising millions of pounds for motor neuron disease charities.
As it's been great, the 5 we've done so far have been really tough and challenging, but also people we've met, families we've met, the whole thing's been amazing, so it's important we keep Rob's legacy going.
It comes after his friend and former rugby league teammate Rob Burrow was diagnosed with MND. Rob died last June, but his legacy lives on.
It's almost a form of therapy at times. I think when we all lose people who we love and care about, and actually this has given us something to really go after.
A new challenge, 7 ultramarathons in 7 days, with one of those being in Sheffield. Starting in December, he'll end his epic runs, finishing in Leeds, all in memory of his friend Rob.
I'm not a professional athlete anymore, and I haven't been for 10 years, so life moves on and changes, but I don't particularly enjoy being in that dark spot, but I like coming through it and at the end of it knowing I've been in there, if that makes sense.
These challenges have become an annual tradition, with more than £10 million being raised to go towards researching MND and caring for those living with it. Kevin Sinfield knows the impact this disease has and wants to do all he can to help fund research to help find a cure. Ollie Constable, BBC Look North.
Certainly a powerhouse, isn't he? Full details of the timings of Kev's challenge and maps of his route will be released closer to the event. Of course, we'll share the details with you when we have them. Next this evening, charging visitors just 10p to visit the Peak District would eliminate the need for government cash to help protect the national park. That's according to its chief executive. He says visitor numbers have risen, but the pressure to protect the area has also grown at a time when there's been cuts to jobs. Greta Pendese has been finding out more.
It's almost 75 years since the Peak District became the UK's first national park. Over that time, access to stunning landscapes has made it a major tourist attraction, which has also come with its own pressures, from recent wildfires in the moors to traffic jams and dangerous parking.
The Peak Park attracts around 13 million visitors every year, making it one of the most popular national parks in the UK. But the organisation that is in charge of conserving the area says it's under huge financial pressure. The National Peak Park Authority says that it's had a real terms cut in funding of 50% over the last 10 years, and that's led to difficult decisions.
We have the pressure of visitors, we have the pressure of delivering for the nation in terms of the ecological crisis, the climate crisis. But I'm trying to do that with an ever declining set of government funds at a time when what's being asked of the national park is more and more and ever more important for the nation.
What are the consequences of that reduction in funding?
I've had to make nearly 10% of our staff, over 20 colleagues, redundant, and that was to live with the previous declining funding, and that was cutting really valued things like some of our education work and our engagement work.
With increasing pressures on accessing and maintaining national parks, is it time to think of a new funding model?
I'd love to be able to just charge 10p per visitor to this park and we wouldn't need any government funding. But what would be the mechanism for that? I haven't got the powers. Who would I charge? How would it be collected? I think that is a big discussion that government is going to need to have, because if they're going to keep cutting our funding, there's going to be need to be a different way of funding national parks.
The Peak District National Park has received additional capital funding from the government this year. It's part of a £400 million investment in nature across the country. But it's clear many here feel that preserving and enabling access safely to this landscape is under threat.
OK, let's have a little look at sport now. And Huddersfield Town have appointed former Sheffield Wednesday and Burnley goalkeeper Lee Grant as their new manager. Grant takes over Huddersfield side, who finished 10th in League One this season on a 3-year deal. This is also his first managerial role. Good luck to him. Yorkshire batter Harry Brook has been appointed the new captain of the England men's white ball team. The 26-year-old marks his new captaincy tenure tomorrow versus the West Indies in a one-day international match played at Edgbaston. Brook spoke to BBC Sport ahead of the clash.
I want the batters to be able to put the best balls under pressure, put the best bowlers under pressure, be able to manipulate the field, score big runs, make match-winning contributions. And then the bowling side, I want them to be able to work towards wickets and have the skills to be able to bowl to a certain dimension or be able to back themselves to hit the skills, so it's hard for the batters. And in the field, I want them to be 100% committed and chase the ball hard to the boundary.
Look at these cute little pups. They're gorgeous, aren't they? Dogs, of course, offer us companionship, but did you know that petting and playing with them has also been shown to lower stress levels? Students at the University of York have today been treated to a little bit of puppy love from a team of hearing assistance dogs in between their exams. But the animals were also there to spread the word about the important work that they do and the need for more volunteers. Carla Fowler has certainly had the job of the day.
Sit. Good boy.
Ambassador dog Beck works his magic. You could say he's head of PR, the most experienced of the hearing dogs for the deaf team. Visiting the University of York today, Beck is helping to highlight the vital work they do and give students in the throes of exams a much needed boost.
It was an ethical hacking exam in computer science, so it was pretty intense. We've been in there about 5 hours, so coming out here and seeing these dogs as a bit of a surprise is really, really nice.
Oh, they've loved it. A perfect antidote to those long days studying, to get out and meet the dogs, and just to meet these dogs that make such a difference to people's lives, and to hear about how the charity is structured and the work they do.
Cocker Spaniel Elvis is a fully trained hearing dog who's transformed the life of owner Sue.
It nudges, takes me to the door and sits and waits. It's so different to being tense and worried all the time that I would miss people coming. When I go out, people know it's my hearing dog, and so they look at me when they speak. So my confidence has just come back. I'm back to the same bubbly person that I was before I retired.
The dogs usually go out when they're about 2 years old, but if it takes longer, they're not machines, we give them longer, we make sure that they're ready to go out and do their working job.
What the organisation really want people out there to know is that they do need volunteers. Not just for, yes they do, don't they, Dougal? Absolutely. Not just for training dogs like Dougal, but for foster care and holiday cover. So if you can help, get in touch. Both hearing and support dogs are needed, so today's a chance to showcase the team.
It's been lovely getting to spend time with them, and they're all so well behaved.
Very relaxing, he's very soft, good boy. He chats a lot, he's very talkative.
Wow, so smart. Yeah.
It's all in a day's work for these super dogs with the power to improve our lives. Carla Fowler, BBC Look North, York.
Now, a North Yorkshire boy has designed his own superhero teddy, which is now been turned into cuddly toys to support a cancer charity. Spencer is being treated for acute lymphoblastic leukemia. He entered a competition to design his dream best friend, with his creation now being brought to life thanks to thousands of public votes. Isn't that fantastic? The cute teddy, a mix of bat and a cat, can now be cuddled by Spencer, with money from other sales going towards Cancer Support UK.
And all the people that were voting for his design was just absolutely overwhelming. It was amazing to find out how many people had voted. So it was just something for him to concentrate on and keep his mind active. So it was just amazing. We were really, really proud of him.
Yeah. Making absolutely fantastic. Now, National Trust Estate in the Peak District has said it's honoured and delighted to have been chosen as the location for the 20th anniversary series of BBC Springwatch. Presenters Chris Packham and Michaela Strachan have been filming at Longshore Estate near Hathersage. Longshore's resident songbirds, an active badger set and 8 species of roosting bats are set to feature. Kathy Minton has been to find out more.
It's a warm hug of a programme. Each year, Springwatch broadcasts for 3 weeks, bringing us the secret lives of British wildlife. This year, the show is celebrating its 20th anniversary, and it's coming from the National Trust Longshore Estate in the Peak District.
Hello!
Researchers have been combing the area for weeks to find nests and wildlife, and there's dozens of cameras catching every magical moment.
It is indeed the short-eared owl.
The footage is a revelation, even for those who've spent years working in the estate.
It's amazing, but to actually find where a nest is, I can probably count that on the fingers on one hand. You know, over the last 15 years that I've probably worked here. So to see all those cameras and to see all those nesting birds is fantastic.
With millions tuning in each night, it's a chance to showcase the Peak District in all its glory.
A lot of our regular visitors have been so proud to see the spot that they've had their favourite family walks on through generations finally showcased. And having people connect to nature is something that we really, really value.
Well, here in the stunning Peak District, you're surrounded by wildlife, but it's so rare to see any of it up close. And the beauty of Springwatch is that it puts nature centre stage. This year, in a Springwatch first, the show is featuring an urban street with gardens in nearby Sheffield rigged with camera traps. Monday's show revealed some surprising visitors to Deborah's Pond.
We knew about the hedgehogs
And we have seen foxes here occasionally in the daytime. But no, the badgers is amazing, really.
So you've got the whole Animals of Farthing Wood in the garden, basically.
I have, yes. It's so lovely. It feels like the less you do in the garden, the more the wildlife come.
Researchers trawled through 12,000 clips to find this busy badger. For the team, it was an exciting discovery.
They are becoming increasingly urban. There's some fantastic populations of urban badgers in the UK, but to see it climbing over the wall and coming in, and we've seen them squeezing under fences, it just seems a bit out of place, but it's very cool.
To get up to date with all the latest wildlife adventures in the Peak District and beyond, Springwatch is on BBC Two at 8 o'clock. Cathy Minton, BBC Look North.
8 o'clock. I will be there. I love Springwatch and I love the Peak District. It's so gorgeous,
Absolutely.
isn't it?
I love that programme myself. It's quite therapeutic, isn't it?
It is.
There's a set of foxes 2 doors down and I see them all the time.
We don't like foxes, we've got chickens, so I'm not keen on them. A badger's fine, but not a fox.
Fair comment. Right, let me show you a couple of pictures. This was sent in by Sandy. This is up at Home Moss. Again, it looks a little bit on the low side, doesn't it? And let me take you back to this morning because it was a beautiful sunrise. Look what Mike took in Scarborough. That must have been 4:30, 5 o'clock this morning. It was an early riser, but it was well worth it. Send your pictures in. The addresses are on your screen or were on your screen. Blink and you miss it. Tomorrow then, there's your headline. Patchy rain with brighter spells developing away from the Pennines. Let me explain what's happening. This warm front will bring rain tonight. A lot of mist and fog, but it brightens away from the Pennines. Friday a damp start. It soon brightens up. As for the weekend, at the moment, Saturday looks a pretty decent day. It looks warm with some sunshine, but I think this feature may well bring showers on Sunday, so it's certainly looking pretty changeable. Right, there's the radar picture. We did get 1 or 2 showers breaking out this afternoon, but for most it's been dry, and it really is a lovely end to the day out there with lots of sunshine. But the next Atlantic weather system is racing in from the west, bringing rain and drizzle, extensive fog. If you're making a journey across the Pennines later tonight, there'll be a lot of that, and an indication that there could be some heavy bursts over the top of the Yorkshire Dales, for example. Lowest temperatures down to 9 or 10 degrees. So tomorrow's high water times in Filey at 6:25, Bridlington at 6:35. So it is a wet start in the morning, but the rain through the morning will become confined largely to the Pennines. Away from the hills, it should become dry and turn brighter through the afternoon. It's quite warm air coming in, so where it brightens up, we'll see temperatures not bad at all, 20, 21 degrees. If we get to 21, that is 70 Fahrenheit. But I think the Pennines, Yorkshire Dales, West Yorkshire Pennines will be pretty dreary tomorrow with drizzle and low cloud for much of the time. Friday then, a damp start, but it will soon brighten up, dry with some sunshine. Saturday looks a decent day. There's an indication on Sunday, a risk of showers, and next week looks quite changeable. That's the forecast.
We've got loads of wild rabbits in our garden at the minute. Yes, like Animals of Farthing Wood, like Cathy Minton said.
Rabbit stew, I love it.
Well, I'm not sure I'll be eating them. That is it from us. I'll be here on the late news after Springwatch.
I'll have your chicken instead.
Bye-bye for now. Shh. Bye.